Hello everyone, my name's Hooten and welcome to the GenX Analytics YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going into the Metaverse, sort of a Metaverse 101 guide slash my thoughts and opinions slash examples type of video. We're going to be talking about a couple of Metaverse projects that are already out, such as Decentraland Sandbox, show a little bit of gameplay on each one and just sort of talk about the Metaverse, and that's basically it. Talk about what the Metaverse is, talk about my sort of thoughts and opinions and any concerns that I might have for the Metaverse in the future, and we will go from there. Alright, so we're going to talk about sort of the term Metaverse and where that term actually came from. The word Metaverse, or the term Metaverse, was first used in 1992 in a novel called Snow Crash. Snow Crash was sort of described as a virtual reality, sort of another world where people would go to. It was 3D and people could access it using goggles, much like the VR type things that we use today. So you could experience Snow Crash, the Metaverse of Snow Crash, from sort of a first person perspective, and your avatars could also be partially customizable as well. So that's sort of where the term Metaverse came from. And then you also had Ready Player One, you had the books from there, and then also the film. And that was sort of depicting what their version of a Metaverse was like, and it was pretty similar to what we see sort of from Snow Crash and today, I suppose. It's quite interesting that Ready Player One and the whole sort of Metaverse VR type thing was sort of created as an escape to the crippling economy of the world, energy crisis, and all that sort of stuff. Sounds a little bit too familiar. We're starting to make our own Metaverse now to escape just those very things. We're going to get sort of into some examples of sort of a centralized Metaverse, you could say. They're not really coined as metaverses, but you could argue that they are their own version of one. So you've got huge games like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, and those games have their own giant worlds and stories within them. You have one character, or you can have multiple characters, and each of these characters you can have different roles like fishing, logging, mining, all that sort of stuff, and then you can sell those materials to further develop your own character. And it's kind of similar to the real world, where you have to you have to have a job to get paid to develop yourself, I suppose. So something like that is already, it's already in use in a virtual world. And with Final Fantasy XIV, I don't know if it's the same with WoW, but with Final Fantasy, you could actually even marry another character as well, and you get bonuses for doing that. So they're trying to include more and more, real world things into the virtual worlds as well. Another example of this could maybe be something like The Sims. The Sims, I'm sure most of you will have played The Sims before. It's basically you are creating your own character or characters. You can customize them however you want. You can determine their own personality traits. You can choose their education. You can choose their own hobbies and even their romantical life that they might have. And that is just another virtual world that you're sort of living in. I would say one thing that all of these have in common is that they are all developed by a team of developers or a company, and they are the ones that determine the future of the game. No one else other than the developers can actually bring out updates to the game, change the actual content for better or worse. So the actual players of the game, they can't really determine the whole economy of the game or the actual development of the world itself. And I think that's where the true term of metaverse comes into play, and we're going to talk about some true metaverses now. We're basically just going to, set aside the differences between what virtual worlds are compared to what metaverses are. Some people might disagree with me on this, but I am just throwing out my opinion. If you have a different opinion, then please let me know in the comments. I would like to know sort of a different stance and take on it. Anyway, so over the past few years, there have already been companies developing their own metaverses that include the world of crypto. Each of these metaverses might have their own NFT collections that they can use within this metaverse. And there is also the cross-compatibility of other NFT collections that weren't created by the team that are developing the metaverse. So in some cases, you can actually use those NFTs, those third-party NFTs in game as well. A lot of these go as far as being able to actually own plots of land within this metaverse that then players can choose what they want to do with it. I've mentioned it in a couple of videos that I've done previously about some of the uses that you might have owning some land in some of these metaverses, and you can truly do whatever you'd like once you've bought one. So we're going to go into some of the largest and most popular metaverses to date so far, and that's Decentraland and Sandbox. So I want to show some examples now. I've got some gameplay in the background of Decentraland and Sandbox, and it's both my gameplay. I just sort of want to show you an example of standalone NFT collections being usable within another metaverse. So one example is Decentraland. I was given an exclusive NFT outfit that I could use in the world of Decentraland, just for simply holding an NFT collection. I entered like a giveaway, and I managed to win a costume set that I could use, and it's like a mythical set or something, but I also have the standard set that every holder got. So I can now use these within the game. So just for having an NFT collection, I was then given an outfit that I could use for my avatar in the game, and I have already got compliments on it, so take that in for how you will. I'd say the beauty of this is that I had the ownership of the piece, and should the Decentraland Metaverse ever disappear for some strange reason, I will always have those NFT pieces as part of my wallet. So if support in the future is available for cross compatibility between other metaverses that might come out, then it's nice to know that I still have all my own assets. So as you will see from the video, I have tried both Decentraland and Sandbox for the purpose of this, just to see how each one plays and just see some differences between them if there are some. I know that both Decentraland and the Sandbox do differ slightly in terms of like the graphics, the smoothness, the playability, but they are still familiar with certain features that set them apart from traditional games. Even though the Decentraland graphics are lacking a bit, the metaverse seems to be bustling with different activities for you to do. For example, on the gameplay in the background, you will see me walking around an NFT gallery wearing my new NFT wearables that I mentioned before. After I finished with the gallery, I decided to then move to next door, which is just the next plot of land, and a completely different experience was available to me. I was given a combat level, and also a defense level, and also spells to use. I could jump through portals to battle monsters and start to level up my own character, and I would also earn currency while doing this, and it was their own currency. And with this currency, I could start to buy new spells, or I could start to buy some NFT wearables or an NFT exclusive pass for any future events they might have. And then I decided to go next door again, and I saw just a shop selling various different items, and it was basically just a photo of all these different items that they had available with a price tag next to it. And all I had to do was just click on that, and it would take me to an external link where I could buy the item and ship it over to my house. So someone's decided to buy the plot of land to make their own virtual store. And then they also added some QR codes within that store that I could use to actually pay for these items. So that's what I mean by just how everything can be just a completely different experience. I'd gone from an art gallery where I could see the original pieces to a play to earn game that someone had decided to just go and create, and then to a shop selling random items that they might own, and I could just skip straight over to their store after earning some currency from playing a random game. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to see. I just kind of stumbled upon the area. I'd never actually, that was just me recording, running through Decentraland. So it's quite interesting to see just how many different things were there just in those 3 plots of land. So with all that being said, I do have a few concerns that I'd sort of like to address, just a part of this video. I envision the metaverse as being more than one virtual world. It's kind of impossible to have everything in one place because everyone's got their own ideas of what the metaverse really is, and which I don't mind too much. I just don't want things to be saturated to the point where you've got 2,000 different metaverses when they all do a similar sort of thing. That's where I'm a bit concerned, because I don't want things to be so oversaturated where you don't really know where to look because there's so many different choices. It's still a pretty new concept so far, so no one's truly nailed a single metaverse and truly nailed what a metaverse could really be. There are also some very large brands getting into the metaverse scene, and we're going to talk about that in a separate video, about just some of the large corporate companies that have decided to jump in with both feet into the metaverse. But yeah, separate video coming soon on that one. But I wouldn't want all the virtual land to be bought by these large corporations that have the money to do it, because it kind of defeats the purpose of a decentralized metaverse in a way. Like, I would rather have, I think, more smaller experiences rather than large corporate branded experiences, if that makes sense. Like, I went through one, and it was one that was made by Samsung, and it wasn't on the recording. I didn't bother recording it, but it just seemed a bit like odd. I was running through, and I think they were promoting some kind of phone or something, but it just, like, there was no content there. It was just like an empty, it might as well have been an empty plot of land. Maybe I was just missing the point of what they were trying to do. I'm not quite sure. But I'm gonna contradict myself straight away and say that maybe there needs to be maybe just a bit of a balance there, because if you have, say, 10,000 plots of land within the metaverse, and you could only own one, so you've got 10,000 individual plots of land, you can imagine how much of a cluster it would be when people are creating all these different experiences. There'd be no real structure to it. It'd be quite confusing, and I don't think the UI of some of these projects is quite there yet for you to be able to just easily navigate between different experiences. So I'm not quite sure what needs to be done there, to be honest. That's me seeing both sides. Like, large corporate brands might be able to give some kind of structure to the metaverse, whereas the individual just randomly adding something on their own plot of land might confuse things a little bit. Land can also be a very expensive topic, and when it comes to the metaverse, with the top two that we spoke about, with Decentraland and Sandbox, for Decentraland it was around 4.3 Ethereum, which is again around $11,000 just for one single plot. And Sandbox is also kind of similar. It's 2.67 ETH, which is around $7,000. So it's very expensive to even buy some of these plots of land with the more established metaverses. When it comes to new projects coming out with a metaverse, I am concerned on that side of things, because I feel like many of them are selling NFT collections for this metaverse, but they don't really have the ability to show what this metaverse actually looks like, apart from maybe a couple of trailers which are more cinematic over gameplay, and then you've also got no demo for you to really play, and like I said, there's no gameplay for you to actually see. So it feels as if that some of these projects might be focusing more on the NFT collections over the actual development of the metaverse, as at the moment the NFT collections are earning them more money. So I'm a little bit concerned with that. Like, I know it takes time for some of these metaverses to get developed, and you do need funding. So obviously, I do support creating NFT collections for it, but I think a lot of these collections will make millions from a single collection. So I feel like that is enough for at least a couple of years worth of development. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Again, share your thoughts. I also feel like the term metaverse is used a little bit too much within crypto. I see a place where anyone can own a piece of land and they can choose what to do with it, but not all projects have that feature, but they will still call themselves a metaverse. And to be honest, I see it a little bit more like just a game rather than a metaverse, but it has maybe a play to earn aspect to it instead. And I think the whole the ownership of land and being able to choose what you want to do with it, I think that is where I'd sort of draw the line between what's a metaverse and what's not. That's just my personal opinion. I might be completely wrong on that one. But again, what is right and what is wrong? I'm not sure. But despite my concerns, I still have high hopes for the metaverse. I am quite open-minded when it comes to new projects within the space, and I'm always eager to see what's next. Just seeing the early stages of some of these projects is promising. Just going through Decentraland and going through the whole event system that they've got, where you can sort of sign up and you can get notified for when these events happen. You've got parties that are going off there. It is quite a bustling metaverse, even though that it's still so small, just compared to the general public, or the population size of the world at least. I still don't fully know how things will look in 10 years' time. Are we just going to put on goggles and gloves and sit here, at your desk, or are you just going to use a mouse and keyboard like you do for usual games? It's hard to say. I think most metaverses will give you the option, I suppose, of either goggles or just using your mouse and keyboard, but how immersive is it really going to be? Will I be able to just walk into a shop and do my I don't know why you'd want to do this, but I'm just using an example. Would I want to do my weekly food shop in the metaverse, walking around in VR with gloves, picking items up and putting them in trolleys? Is that gonna be a thing? I don't know. I feel like I must have heard of that before, because I don't think I've just come up with that in my head. I'm sure there's a company that's developing something like that in the metaverse. If I find out what it is, I'll stick the logo on the video. But yeah, it is hard to say where the metaverse is going to be, but I'm excited to see just where it's going to be in the future. Is it going to look like Spider-Man, one of the newer ones where you just put on your goggles and you've got a whole new virtual reality. You've got notifications popping up and they're in the top corner of your vision. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. That is going to be everything for this video, just on the Metaverse. I hope you enjoyed this little talk, I suppose, between me and you. Just what the Metaverse is, sharing my opinions just on the Metaverse itself. Fun drinking game. Drink every time I say Metaverse. I feel like I've said it a good 50 times this video, and I don't think it's even 20 minutes long, so enjoy that one. I hope you learned something new watching this video. If you did, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you for sticking around this long if you have, and I will see you again in the next video. Goodbye.